Sangye Chodong, Soje Chonam Lai, Changjo Parto, Dane Kyause Che, Dage Chishe Gibe Sunam, Dola Benjara Sangye Dombare Sho, Sangye Chodong, Soje Chonam Lai, Changjo Parto, Dane. Dage Chishe Gibe Sunam Che, Dola Benjara Sangye Dombare Sho. Sangye Chodong, Soje Chonam Lai, Changjo Parto, Dane Kyapsuch, Dage Chishe Gibe Sunam Che, Dola Benjara Sangye Dombare Sho. Zemje Damje Dewa Dan Deve Gyodan Dembre Churje, Dungal Dan Dungek. Judan Dawa Juje Dungal Mebe Dewa Damba Dam Mindawa Juje Nyereng Chaudan Nidan Tangyam Jembo La Nebra Jure Che Simje Tamje Dewa Dan Dive Gudan Dembrej Dunga Dan Dunge Ge Judan Taware Jurje Dungala Mebe Dewa Damba Dam Mindalwar Nyereng Chaudan Nidan Tawe Tangyam Jembo La Nebra Jure Simchen Tomche, Dewa Dang, Deve Gyodang, Dembra Churche, Dungal Dang, Dungala Gejut, Tower Churche, Dungala Mebe, Dewa Tamba Dang, Mindalavarch, Yering, Chagdang, Yedang, Dawe, Dangyo, Chimbola, Nembra Churche. Paldena Zavia, Lama Rimboche, Dage Chewo, Pede Dejot, Kadin Chimbo, Gone, Jezon de, Koson, Tokje, Ngodo, Zato, Soy. Paldian Dorje Changwari Kin Chabda Lama Karmapa, Chingur Kunje June, Sije Paljur Yidam Dorje Nanjurma, Tinle Kunje Chebo, Chujong Perje Chamdala, Nanjur Kube, Zechin de Dondalme, Tuge Kongwara, Kangchire Zenye Galwe Loto Penzo de, Sabetan Pella Chunda Yuring, Longchune La Mimpa Tawon de Jurba, Teacher Dage Tongma Ningje Teoparji. Tangbo nga che da la shen juru shin, da gen di she ngui la chak chu, se chun chun da rang wang me ba yen, do la nying je chur kang te la yen de, kang la sem je tangpa rin chen te, che pa ti ye ku la chak sa chi, kang la ne pa che cha den de lwa, de ven ju ne te la kyab su e chi. Good morning, everyone. So, yes, now we will continue with our with our talk from the 7 points of mind training. We went through the first two. The first one is, focusing on the 4 thoughts. Those are the 4 preliminaries. And the second point was the actual bodhicitta, cultivating of the bodhicitta. And we generate bodhicitta, through the means of these 2 traditions. Tradition that came down from Maitreya to Asanga to Vasubandhu. And the other tradition is a tradition that came down from Manjushri to Shantideva to Nagarjuna. So these are the 2 traditions. We brushed through that very briefly yesterday. And once when we train, or once when we gain this very, these teachings on how to cultivate bodhicitta profoundly, and when we experience some kind of maturation in our mind, then we usually take the bodhisattva vows. And once when we are taking the bodhisattva vow of the aspiration and application, those are the relative bodhicittas, as we know. And then this practice, is actually based on the what we call as tonglen, receiving and taking, which we do using our breath, exhaling, inhaling, like we had yesterday. I'm again just reminding you. And then as far as the, let's say, practice that we do based on bodhicitta is concerned, the very first practice that we must do, generally speaking, every Dharma activity must be supported by bodhicitta without any doubt, especially in order to reach Buddhahood. Then our focus will be more on the activities of the six perfections. So with the mind of bodhicitta, we engage in the six paramitas of the generosity, discipline, patience, diligence, concentration, and wisdom. Again, I have to say in short, but many of you have heard this teaching many times. But that really is the practice. And by doing that, then usually that is what brings us the Buddhahood, so to speak. And once when the Buddhahood is being brought to oneself, now when, in order to benefit sentient beings, then bodhisattvas, let's say, do that with four different means. And these four different means are called, four different ways or means of benefiting, collecting the disciples, we can call that. So these are things that we connected with the bodhicitta. As we understand, bodhicitta is the mind. There are two. In Tibetan we call it samba and jorva. Samba is the mind, the thought, the motivation, or intention. And this thought, this intention must, be transformed or must be used as a way of, benefiting others. That's called activity, as we know, jorva in Tibetan. So anyway, so these are just a reminder of what we went through in the last 2-3 days. And now we did start the first line of the third point. Now the third point is turning all the adversities, into the path. What it meant, from what I understand, is here, of course, we try to implement bodhicitta in all life situations. This is what it meant in simple form. Like when I am sick, as an example, we will come across that. I try to implement bodhicitta in my sickness, in my joy. In both the situation, I try to experience everything, through bodhicitta is what I actually understand. But we will go through this. So therefore, any difficult, usually too, we call the view, actually, with the help of the view, the higher realization, and we can very much, help ourselves in our day-to-day life situation with the view. And the other thing is with the conduct, actually, with the conduct, with the activity, So these are the two things. Here it says that, the way to transform, it's not exactly transforming, but yes, we do take the help of bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta, both to understand that situation, to understand this very challenging, difficult situation, and to bring about this and use them as a way to benefit from that. This is what it meant. And here the benefit actually is we use all, especially the very difficult situations, challenging situations, like it says, adversities. These, instead of getting stressed, instead of getting discouraged, we use them as a means to encourage oneself to practice the Dharma. We use those as a means to really, perfect our path to enlightenment. This is what it meant in simple form when it says turning all the adversities, into the path. but with the help of the view and the mind, we can say, or view, the conduct, or we can say mind, the bodhicitta of the relative and ultimate. Anyway, we'll come to know that. All right, so now I'm going to read through the root verses. Like I mentioned before many times, to this 7 points of mind training, the root verses are really very different, actually. Some are, it's very, very different, and some are also sort of, not in orderly way. So therefore, some you find up there and some you find down there in different books. It's a little bit difficult from that point of view, but it's all okay, actually. It doesn't matter. All right. I have to read in English. Right. So now I'm reading from Rinpoche's book, Shyam Rinpoche's book. Right. I'm going to read from the beginning, okay? See, the third point, convert adversities into the path of the awakening. Among ordinary and extraordinary instructions, begin with the first one. So those are, like I say, it means we turn these adversities into the path through the means of both relative and ultimate bodhicitta, and then also with the help of conduct. This is what it meant. Okay, when the beings and the world are filled with evil, convert the adversities into the path of awakening. This we had yesterday, already, but in short, it really means that, there are two things. One, the cause, the other, the result. We are talking about that. As far as we as a human being and our world, we as a human being and our experience in our life, are the result, correct? They are the result, and also our world is also result. And what is the cause? Cause for that is our own collective karma. The collective karma of the human being is the cause. So therefore, this is the way to understand that. Okay, so it's just saying here when it says when beings and world filled with like we had yesterday, that actually, from what I remember, it says that for instance, Buddhas would not come to the world during the fortunate kalpa, correct? So why then? They must come during the fortunate kalpa, actually. Buddhas only come to the world, let's say, okay, that we usually say fortunate, maybe there's actually, yes, I'm saying it a little bit wrongly. Actually, I said it in the wrong way, but it's the right way also. What I'm saying is that, yes, it is very fortunate that Buddha come to this world. But as far as the time is concerned, it's not the best of the time when they come to the world, actually. They usually come to the world during the degeneration time. So, because they come to the world when the sentient beings need them the most is the idea actually behind this. So there are probably times when sentient beings can take care of themselves, so they don't need any Buddha, so to speak, okay? But then there comes a time when sentient beings are so confused, so overwhelmed by suffering and pain. So they really need a Buddha. And seeing that, then an emanation of a Buddha or Bodhisattva comes to the world. And that time is called degeneration time, generally speaking. So here also when it says this, it means, what my point is, it means this is for the practice of the Dharma, actually this is considered the best time to practice Dharma. It will come up later on also. Why? In order to reach enlightenment, the very first thing is renunciation. The best time to experience renunciation is this time. Why? Because renunciation is born out of suffering. When sentient beings go through an overwhelming kind of suffering, then they are overwhelmed by suffering and they really, want to just absolutely do something to overcome that suffering. This mind in them that I absolutely want to get rid of this suffering, that thought, that mind, that decision in one is actually called Ngenjung or renunciation. And this is linked with the suffering and pain. When there are no, actually we can see ourselves too. I don't know about you guys, but I know that I always say this to Tibetan people. When they come to the lamas and monasteries, when they have some problems, with the offerings. But then they forget us when everything is good. I don't think they forget us, I'm just kidding. But it is somewhere very true. So when everything's okay, so now why I need Lama, why I need Dharma, I don't need. But as soon as some problem strikes, the first thing that comes to their mind is the monastery, Oh, I have to go to the Lama, make some offering. Lama, please, do this for me, do that for. I'm not sure if Dharma is doing that or if their karma is doing that. But then something is solved. And when it's solved, problem solved, they no longer think of Dharma or Lama. Not in that very manner, but also me too, same. When I, this little bit of, let's say, renunciation or practicing of Dharma comes to me when, there is some problem in my mind or some in my life, then, you tend to think about Dharma more. You remember Dharma during those difficult times. It's actually a good thing, so to speak. But when times are good, you don't really remember Dharma or Lama or anything. So, okay, they are somewhere over there, So this is what it meant like here. From the Dharma point of view, also, especially like in the Vajrayana, they say that, the degeneration time is the best time to practice Vajrayana. But that does not mean that everyone is capable of practicing that. One thing we need to keep in mind is that Dharma is not everybody's cup of tea at all. Yes, hearing is one thing, and practicing is altogether different thing. Anyone can hear, even a dog can hear it, cat can hear it. No big deal in hearing. But what about practicing that? It is all about practicing, not just like thinking, correct? So therefore, anyway, so when it says that, that when the world, faces a lot of adversities and difficulties, so to speak, this is what he's saying. And this is a time when we, let's say, here he says bodhicitta, but I usually always would like to believe Dharma actually. For me, bodhicitta and Dharma is synonymous for me really. So we may say bodhicitta, but for me is really the Dharma practice, so to speak, that we take refuge in the Dharma. The only refuge at this point of time is really the Dharma, and the Dharma here is really, the bodhicitta, both relative and ultimate bodhicitta, or in short, are the teachings. The teachings of the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, great beings, their wisdom, teaching meaning their wisdom, their realization. We depend on that, we take refuge in that, in those teachings. At the same time, then we, on our own, also develop wisdom. Then we also, then I think we really don't only take refuge in the wisdom of those other great beings, but also in my own realization, in my own understanding, in my own wisdom. That's how it matures. Then I can very much take refuge within my Dharma that is in my mind, correct? Dharma that is in my heart. And this is the real way of taking of the refuge, so to speak. All right? So not so bad actually for the Dharma, this time it is very good. Everything around us is a condition that reminds us how, that we need to practice Dharma actually. Anyway, these things will come up again. Now I'm going to read, read on. So this is these lines are the general, let's say, line for the third point. Second, among the three extraordinary instructions, the first is how conventional bodhicitta is used to convert adversities into the path of awakening. Okay. Now this is the root words. Okay. Hold onefold accountable for all misfortunes. Reflect on the great kindness of all beings. Yeah, okay. Yes, these two verses. So here we are using the relative bodhicitta as a means to, convert or turn the difficult situation, into the path or as a part of practice. All right. The first line that it says here that the question is, who is responsible for all of the suffering and pain and difficulty that I go through in my life? All these bad things that is happening in my life, who is the one that we should hold accountable for, responsible for? This is the question, right, we ask. So the answer he gives here is that you actually, he says. There is only one person or one thing and one thing only that you must hold responsible for all the negative things, bad things happening to you. And that actually is you. So you here is not the body. From the five aggregate is not the aggregate of the form, but it's the aggregate of the mind. And especially here that you is our ego actually. Our ego, self-clinging, selfishness, or the notion of I, we call dangzi in Tibetan. So it is like we had gone through that. This line actually is, the line for reflecting on the fault of self-cherishing. Yesterday I mentioned that, briefly. Remember in Shantideva's book, according to the Shantideva's tradition, then relative bodhicitta is generated by with two methods or with two means. First one was by generating the mind of equanimity, and the second was generating the mind of exchanging oneself with others. We call dakshin jeva. So here, this is the second one where, one is exchanging oneself with others. So this one, who is that oneself, who is other, is not two individual. Here, first, this I. So I change myself with other. That I here is the ego clinging actually, all self-cherishing. The mental attitude of ego clinging or self-cherishing, that. Like it was said yesterday morning, that the source, for example, I already mentioned yesterday, but I have to repeat again. Everything thing that we go through, the first thing result, the immediate result for that is karma. Yes, no doubt. Immediate result of that is karma. But this karma, which is immediate result, is also born from another cause. And that another cause are our emotions. In this case, we are talking about suffering, so therefore those are the negative emotions, right? Negative emotions. And this negative emotion that we experience, in turn, also has their own source. So what is that source when we really think? That source is really the notion of self, the notion of an I. This notion of I is the root of samsara, correct? The root of samsara. So here, the root of samsara, meaning root of all this suffering, pain that we go through, is really this ego clinging, self-clinging. A self-clinging that is rooted in ignorance. From the 12 links of dependent origination, this is the first link, okay? First link, and then the rest of them come about. So I don't want to go through all that, but now you know, it's really very easy. Because of the ignorance, the ego clinging, then consciousness comes about. Through that karma comes, then the whole cycle of 6 cyclic existence, the 12 link comes about and samsara comes about. So here, when it says that there is only, one thing and one thing only that is responsible for all the suffering, and that is none other than yourself, we call it. Because that self here is really this ego clinging, self-cherishing. Until the time, the day we destroy that, we will never be free of suffering and pain. Why? Because as long as there is ego clinging, there will be emotions, no doubt. Uninterrupted emotions will be there, and emotions by nature are suffering, and they bring more suffering, karma. So if I want to end the cycle of birth, correct, in samsara, the cycle of birth in samsara, how do I do that? From the 12 links of dependent origination, how do I do that? Is concerned, I have to go to the root. In 12 links of dependent origination, we have birth, aging, sickness, and death counted as together, correct? So that birth. Therefore, then to stop that, then I have to go to the root, and the root is really ego, but this ego which is rooted in ignorance. So that means I must destroy that ignorance. And this is why the direct antidote for that ignorance is prajna, the wisdom. Here the vipassana wisdom, the transcendental wisdom. The transcendental wisdom of the Buddhas and Bodhisattva, the awakening mind, we call that awakening mind. So, yes, but generally speaking here, the relative, how is relative bodhicitta, relevant is concerned? It is relevant because, bodhicitta very much is connected with the, pain and suffering of sentient beings, correct? If there would be no pain, no suffering, there will be no compassion actually. We have compassion, kindness, they are all directed to, difficulties, to pain and suffering. If there would be no pain, no suffering, there would be no state of kindness, compassion, or love. They are all same actually, right? So this is why now you can see that the reason, we experience kindness, we experience love, we experience compassion to others is because to some extent or wherever we see, feel pain or see suffering, pain in others, we very automatically feel compassion or kindness or love on our own way. It's not one of the most profound way, but we do. So then, at the same time, we also want to do something about that, correct? You see, and then you give food, you give shelter, you give money, you do your best to help them. All that, So this all happened because you saw suffering in that individual. You saw pain in that individual. So you see how it's actually connected here. Likewise, here, and as for the path to enlightenment is concerned, it's a little bit different in the sense like it means when I practice Dharma, when I'm on the way to enlightenment, then I am going to face, a lot of difficulties, physically, mentally, both. From the sickness point of view, from the hunger point of view, from the thirst point, because you will not have food all the time, you will not have drinks all the time. Weather, from the weather point of view, correct? You have to live in very harsh weather. Like way back in time, then imagine how they lived actually, so to speak. This is, in one way, then they are able to, they meaning now the practitioners, not just any being, okay? We can take example of all the yogis, men or women. Even now in Tibet, there are many of them who live in this very difficult situation, and they are able to disregard their physical pains. They are able to disregard all these difficulties because they have this warmth in their heart. That warmth is their Dharma practice. So I sometimes feel like that's so profound, It's not that they don't feel hungry. It's not that they don't feel, sick. They feel sick, they feel hungry, of course they feel the harsh weather. But they are not so very bothered about that. They are able to disregard that. Why? Because there's a warmth in their heart. That warmth is, we can call it Dharma, correct? That warmth, you can give it different names. Let's say renunciation, bodhicitta, both bodhicitta. I don't know if it's ultimate or relative. Probably it's both. Not probably, it's actually both. So they have this warmth in their heart. So then the world, these other things become secondary, correct? It's all become secondary. Their priority, is Dharma, is their practice. So this is what it meant, right? In this case, when we are talking about changing the adversaries or converting the adversaries into the path, I'm thinking if I am a good practitioner, it's very automatic. I don't need to think anything actually. My own practice, really will help me to go through that, which means the Dharma in my heart will help me to go through samsara, in that way. And of course, this is how you're leading us to the, to the liberation. So it's in my heart, in my mind, actually. I don't need to depend on others so much. It's not like every time you have to sit down, think, analyze, read 7 points of mind training, and that's not it, actually. You go to this retreat, you decide to go into retreat of 3 years, 4 years, 6 months, something like this, and then when someone who really gets into the skin of the practice, then yes, we develop this, patience, resilience, actually, I should say. Resilience, that power, it is born from your devotion, actually. It's born from your, Dharma understanding. It's born from that meditation, that practice, that resilience in you. And we need that resilience, right? And that is because of, that Dharma practice, actually. So it's not like, okay, so therefore, if when the time comes and when I am on the path to, let's say, enlightenment, or on the Dharma path, let's not say on the Dharma path, and then I think things just really, happen all these things just happens, so to speak. This, this ability in them is gone from that. So anyways, but here, the first line which says that, there's only one thing and one thing only that we must hold accountable, for all of the difficulty, pain in our life is none other than myself. So that means I don't want this self, this ego, this emotion, right? And then therefore I do something about it so that I no longer experience this. And then that will be, replaced by the, bodhicitta, so to speak. Okay, so that is. And the second line actually is where it says that all sentient beings are kind. But it says, regard all sentient beings, kind or dear to you. This is the second mind or second thought, cherishing others actually. Okay, why I have to consider other sentient beings very kind, why I have to be so very, grateful to sentient beings. This is the question again, okay? The answer is actually quite simple and very truthful. For example, we as a Mahayana or as a Buddhist, we aim for enlightenment. In order to reach enlightenment, we need two things, two individuals. First, we need a Buddha who can teach us. Second, we need sentient beings. Without the sentient beings, how are we going to accomplish anything at all, so to speak? We accomplish all, everything based on sentient beings. So just the way how Buddha is so very important for us, the way we feel grateful to Buddha, we must actually feel the same kind of gratitude towards sentient beings as well. Why? Because it is same that they both the sentient being and Buddha, become the ground for enlightenment. It is true. And also, like it says, how do we accomplish, merit without sentient beings? Like, for example, if I am to practice generosity, to whom I'm going to practice generosity? To the sentient beings. And also, like I said before, I need to cultivate bodhicitta, but without the sentient beings, then to whom I'm going to cultivate bodhicitta? And actually, without their suffering, to whom I'm going to cultivate bodhicitta? Without the merit, without the bodhicitta, then there is no enlightenment as well. So this way, when it says here, that we need to understand that sentient beings are also, very important for us. Why? Because we need them. We need their help, I should say. We need their help to mature our compassion, to mature our kindness. Yes, actually that, right? And to mature our generosity. They help us to mature that. So without them, without each other actually, in this way without each other, correct? Like I need you, you need me. So without each other, then it's the possibility of maturing, all these things is not possible. So therefore, this line where it says that we must regard all sentient beings very kind, we should be very grateful, we must have gratitude towards them. Because they are very important. They are as important as a Buddha, for us in order to reach enlightenment. This is so. Now you can say cherishing other. Okay, the other we have when we help others. It seems like I'm helping others. But in reality, this is when I'm helping myself the most, actually. Because by helping sentient beings, I become Buddha, correct? By helping sentient beings, I experience all the happiness, all the joy, all the goodness in this world is born, by helping sentient beings, benefiting sentient beings, not by helping oneself, actually. So it's opposite. If I only and only think of myself, then everything's limited. The door for all the, let's say, goodness, all the, let's say, boundless happiness really is closed. But when you open up that door for others, when it's very much like when you open up your heart to other sentient beings, and when you really do that in the way of benefiting them, then the door for this joy, let's say uninterrupted joy, we can say a constant joy is always there. The more and more we are able to help others, you always feel a sense of joy, correct? You always feel proud. Oh, I'm happy that I could do this for these things. We always say that. Oh, I'm happy to help. Why do you say I'm happy to help, actually, if you're not happy to help? It's almost like lying, but I don't think you're lying. I think you really mean that when you say, oh, I'm happy to help. Or you say, oh, I'm very happy that I could do this, for that. We are saying this all the time, actually, these teachings. But now imagine you do the same thing for more and more people. Then your happiness will become increased only, right? First you are doing this for a handful of people and you are very happy. And now let's say you can extend that to more and more and more people. And then at the same time your joy will also grow and grow and grow and grow. This is why now you can see that how bodhicitta, where all sentient beings are included, that's why there is this boundless happiness, or infinite happiness. Happiness cannot be measured generally, but that really is the boundless happiness, because your mind, your compassion is boundless. There are no boundaries of whatsoever. So we need to break that boundary, that barrier. Right now there's some kind of barrier, so we need to break through these things, and it's because of the attachment, right? Generally the barrier, I think, is the attachment. So once when we become free from attachment and grasping, then there are no boundaries of any kind. Then, we can experience this to all sentient beings. So, yes, and in this way, then, let's say the relative bodhicitta is expanded, is increased, the growth of that really becomes deeper and deeper and deeper. And as they become deeper, then the, activity, of benefiting other becomes also, limitless at the same way. All right. Okay. All right. So now we are moving on. The second is how ultimate bodhicitta is used to transform adversities into the path of awakening. Okay. These are the verses. Cultivate deluded appearance as the four kayas. Emptiness is the unsurpassed protection. Three views are like the treasury of the sky, the unsurpassed protection of the yoga or yogi actually. Like I said before, this last two lines actually are not there in most of the Lojong books. I was looking for it last night a lot. I found it actually in one of the Lojong books. In most of the Lojong book, this line is not there, the last two line. But this two last line is actually reversed. So I'm actually going to explain first the last 2 lines and then the first 2 lines, okay? It's a little bit easier for me from the order point of view. All right, meaning I'm first going to explain 3 views are like the treasury of the sky, the unsurpassed protection of the yoga. Nalanjur Yogi. Yeah, take your time. I'm looking here, take your time. Oops. Yoga, yogi. It's okay. Right. Okay. So first we need to keep in mind here, that this is from the ultimate point of view. Generally speaking, we talk about 2 truths, right? In Dharma, especially in the Madhyamika teachings, there are 2 kinds of truth, the relative truth and the ultimate truth. So the first one here was from the relative point of view, how on conventional level we use all the difficulties and challenging situations as a way of practicing the Dharma. That is from the conventional point of view. Now, here, this 2 stanzas, I think, right? These 2 stanzas are from the ultimate point of view, absolute point of view. So first we need to know that. So here, I will try to explain this in a simple way, According to Tibetan, it means there are 3 ways of seeing the reality here, First, what are the 3 things? Let's say the individual, let's say the enemy, okay? Then the harm that the enemy, brings onto you, and the suffering. 3 things. Okay? 3 things. Here, seeing meaning, first, the enemy. From the ultimate point of view, there is no such thing as enemy, correct? Enemy doesn't exist. So here, we try to see that enemy is emptiness. If enemy is emptiness, then the harm of the enemy also will be emptiness. If the harm of the enemy, the one who's harming you, is emptiness, then the pain you got is also emptiness. So they are all emptiness. The enemy, the harm, and the suffering that you go through are all emptiness. Seeing from that point of view. The other actually way of explaining this is seeing that I am emptiness. If I am emptiness, then all the harm and the difficulty that I'm going through is also emptiness. And if that is emptiness, then whatever, all this harm that I'm receiving from are also emptiness, so to speak. So this is how it, and then other way is actually, seeing that how the enemy lack any kind of inherent true existence. At the same time, seeing that how that harm that enemy brought upon you lack any kind of inherent existence. So the enemy is illusion, harms are illusion. Okay? Now, suffering. Also seeing that suffering that I'm going through, this is actually very true. The suffering that I'm going through lack any kind of inherent true existence. Seemingly they are true. Seemingly there is a true enemy. Seemingly there is a true harm. Seemingly there is a true I. Because when there is a true I, then the experience of that I is also true. Seemingly, yes, actually. So we have to say seemingly. But since this is from the ultimate point of view, right? So this is really very direct way of, let's say, very direct way of looking into the nature of the phenomena, we could say. So here there are three phenomena in this case, you know. First phenomena is oneself, the other phenomena is your experience, and the third phenomena is source of that experience. So when we look at these three phenomena and their reality, it's like through, you know, their reality, then we come to understand that all of them are, you know, empty of inherent existence. So they are all just an illusion, you know, nothing but an illusion, so to say. This is what it meant. And the example is very beautiful actually here. This example, from what I understood, is if I try to, you know, if I try to tie up the space, can I tie up the space? Meaning, can I make a note to the space? It's actually a very good example. Probably it's a little strange to you guys. We are very used to hearing this. You won't be able to, you know, let's say, really make a knot to the space. How can you going to, you know, tie it up? Not at all. So, because space is a metaphor, and this metaphor is the metaphor of an emptiness. So therefore, the you know, the ultimate nature of the mind, of the phenomena, they cannot be at all, you know, they are free of any trap. There is no trap in that at all. The note is a trap, okay? So the true nature of the mind, the Dharmakaya, the Dharma Dhatu, they are free of any kind of trap. Wisdom is the one that helps you to cut through that trap. They don't get trapped, you know? So this is what it meant. The space can be trapped. This is a better word, actually. If you try to, how you're going to trap the space? It's not possible, simply because it doesn't exist. So you cannot do that. This is, what it meant is that it's saying in reality, I, you know, these three objects, me, my experience, and the experience that it comes from the object, all are emptiness. Yes, because we are speaking from the ultimate point of view. So to this ultimate, then there are no traps. Since there are no traps, therefore, one is beyond, beyond all the traps, so to speak. Yes, there are some other examples as well, actually, in here. But the example of the space is very good. In the pit instructions of the meditation, this actually come up very often. This meaning, this line which I said before that, how we try to see everything from the ultimate point of view. For example, it's very much like in the Heart Sutra line. The Heart Sutra line, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. This is exactly what we are saying here. For example, here, pain is emptiness, emptiness is pain, correct? Same as that. And as well as the enemy is emptiness, emptiness is enemy. I am emptiness, and emptiness is me. Actually, it's really, I'm not kidding, actually, it's the same understanding of that. Since it is spoken from the emptiness point of view, therefore, you can take, help of any other teachings from the Madhyamika, from the Prajna Paramita. It's actually good to take help from there, because they are the source of the teachings on the ultimate truth, on the highest view. So, yes, the last line, actually, I need to read that. Yes, then when it says the three views are like treasury of the sky. Yeah, sky, actually, space. The unsurpassed protection of the yoga. According to Tibetan, it means the practice of ultimate bodhicitta is the, is the highest practice, actually. There is no higher realization, there is no higher practice than the practice of the nature of the mind or emptiness. This is simply what it meant. Like yogis are practitioners, right? This name of the practice. The highest practice that these yogis or Mahasiddhas do is the practice of the nature of the mind or emptiness. There is no higher than that. So this is what it simply meant. The highest view, we can call it. This is the highest view. Therefore, it is the ultimate practice of the emptiness. All right, but then here there's other thing also, but from a different angle, when we see these three views, there are three ways of seeing things from the other way than is okay. We turn these adversities into path by appreciating the adversities. So first one is appreciate. I think Rinpoche's book is like happy. This is something I said yesterday a little bit. In not Bodhicharya Avatara, in Chandra Kirti's book, Madhyamika Avatara, I remember there is this line that says, when a bodhisattva hears someone begging to them, The joy they experience from that sound, they say, is the, greatest bliss they ever experienced, the sound of that. But ordinary people get very angry. I remember, me or my mom or many others, because we live in the village. So there's always somebody coming, asking for something. I didn't do much, but I remember my aunt, my mom, they give them, but they scold them also a lot. It's like, never come back. This time I'm giving you, but never come back. Of course they come back, all the time, same story. Next day, same story. And I found that very cute. And I'm like, Mom, why you do that? You know he's going to come. I know you're going to give, but why you scold them? I guess they just can't stop it. But I don't think in their heart they have so much, but we do this. You're like, okay. And they also, it's very irritating, that they are very irritating, things like this. Anyways, as long as you are giving, still is good, But here, appreciating from Dharma point of view, like yesterday I gave this example of this great Lama when he got very sick with his feet. At the point when he was very happy about that. He was all thankful to this, sickness, because he knew he needed to go through that karma, because he needed to exhaust that karma. So it's like, thank you very much, appreciating. And also like enemy-wise. Enemy-wise, it's a story of who? Story of Milarepa, right? Of course, we all know that Milarepa, out of hatred, he became yogi actually, because his uncle and aunt destroyed his family, so he wanted to take revenge. His very first thought was, I'm going to take revenge, so he practiced black magic, remember? Anyway, so I have to make the story short. He really didn't manage to kill uncle and aunt. He did manage to destroy and kill many other people, but not uncle and aunt. But towards the end of his life, after when he became Milarepa, then he visited his, home. And the uncle and aunt, really, really got scared. They thought, he's coming to kill us. But actually he went there to say thank you. In his life story, he says that, I'm here to say thank you. If it were not you guys, then I would not have become who I am today. It is thanks to you, what you did to my family, that I became who I am today. So he says, I'm very, very happy, thank you. This is what it meant by here, appreciate, or he felt, grateful. So adversaries. The other thing is that, by remembering the benefits, from them. So the third one is actually seeing the benefit, seeing the benefit of going through this. I think there is a benefit because of the, relative bodhicitta, kindness, compassion, wisdom. Then the benefit is that I overcome, negative karma. At the same time, I accumulate so much merit, going through that. For example, practicing patience is one of the best practice, correct? So this is with the practice of the patience, adversaries. Resilience is the patience, we call zopa in Tibetan. There are three kinds of patience, right? This is patience regarding on the path to enlightenment, actually. When it says here, turning adversities into the path is from that point of view, the patience. But this patience is really rooted in wisdom and compassion both, correct? You can see that. It's not like the patience we think. Patience for us is like a burden. You carry it like a burden. That is not actually patience at all. Or you think, oh, I have to bear this. Bearing is one thing. Bearing and patience, there is a very big difference between that. Bearing suffering is one thing. Having patience is another thing. We're not saying you have to bear suffering. Bearing suffering with ignorance, attachment, anger, that actually is not patience. like bearing enemy, right? You have to bear their harm all out of fear, actually. You fear, so you have no option. That is not a patience. That totally not patience. So here, when we define patience, Zötpa, then first of all, there are many things. First of all, I really believe there is a renunciate mind. I always say that, actually. Because without the renunciate mind, Ngenjung, compassion cannot come about. It's my thinking. Then because there is a renunciate mind, compassion comes about. And this both, the renunciate mind, Ngenjung, and compassion or kindness is supported by wisdom. The reason you have renunciate mind is why? Because you understand the reality. You understand samsara, let's say. You understand the reality of life. You understand the reality of samsara, reality of, world. That is a wisdom, correct? Wisdom. So this wisdom helps you to know the truth, to understand the truth about life, what life is all about. It helps you to understand what is, birth, what is sickness, what is aging, what is death. What is meaning of this life, actually? What is meaning of fame? What is meaning of, wealth? All that. And we understand that all of this, the fame, the life, everything, is impermanence. So this all together, this realization into these things, wealth, fame, longevity, all that. So this wisdom really helps you to understand how illusion it is or how uncertain. Probably uncertain is better. How uncertain everything is. How vulnerable everything is. So this kind of realization, knowledge in you triggers this, mind of renunciation, compassion, kindness, ground of our, of patience is that wisdom. So then, yes, like this, we call Chupa. Chupa meaning a Dharma practitioner. Here, I guess yogi is a, Sanskrit word, Naljurpa, in Tibetan, Naljurpa, same as Dharma practitioner. I guess in Tibetan, when we say Naljurpa, it means someone who is advanced, actually, Naljurpa. Someone who is advanced, especially someone who is advanced in meditation. This is my understanding of that. Similar to Masida, like we say Tuptop. So Tupa Topa and Naljurpa, we can say are same from that point of view. But there are many fake, Masidas, many fake yogis, so that's different. But the genuine Dharma practitioner, the genuine yogis, Masidas, usually they are very discreet, So they don't show their realization, they don't show their compassion or kindness, they don't. Those who are not genuine, then they show it off. Pretensions anyways, that we know. So yes, now I have to, I will explain the first two lines. Sorry, I reversed it, but yes, the first two lines with the ultimate goal. It says, cultivate deluded appearances at the four kayas. Emptiness is the unsurpassed protection. This, okay. Again, you can, as a Vajrayana practitioner, this is, easier in our minds, So, for example, when we practice Guru Yoga, body, speech, and mind, what happens to them? It's actually same as this, no? It's just simply saying that. What happens to my body, my speech, my mind is illusion, right? Relative. But as soon as I practice Guru Yoga, then they transform, or at least we imagine that they become the body and the speech and the mind of the Guru. So this is what it meant here when he says all the things that we experience from this ignorant mind are illusion, are deluded, are illusion, are not real. They are unreal actually. All these, even they may be unreal, they may be illusion, but that is not how we think, that is not how we experience. As far as we are concerned, we see them as true, as real. We don't see them as an illusion, okay, so to speak. So first of all, like in Tibetan, he's saying that all these things that we see, that we experience, that we feel, are all illusion. Okay? So now we can, summarize that into my body is illusion, my speech is illusion, and my, mind is illusion. They are illusion. Why? Because they are manifestation of ignorance. Anything that ignorance produces, manifests, are not real, are all fake actually. It means fake. Are all fake, or false is a better word. They are all false experience. But unfortunately, that is not how we see it. So we are very much deluded by this ignorance, making us believe that what we see, what we think, what we experience is true, real. So first we need to, overcome that. We need to overcome our confusion. Once when we realize and overcome this confusion, and through that, then yes, we can experience, everything as emptiness. In short, actually, it means that everything as emptiness, or everything as Dharma, Dharmakaya, for example. Dharmakaya, same as emptiness. So here, like in the Vajrayana practice, when we do any of this practice of the yidams or gurus, in the caring part and dzogchen part, we have two of them, So here, the caring part is actually relative truth, where we, let's say, when we experience the body, the speech, and the mind of the Lama is actually the relative part, okay? But at least there, then we have a very pure view, let's say this. Like we see, the whole appearance becomes the pure appearance, correct? From the language point in the teaching. As of now, all the appearances are impure. But here, as soon as we enter into this yidam, the mandala of the yidam, mandala of the guru, then they all become pure. Let's put it this way, pure, the appearance. As of now, our speech are not pure, ordinary, I should say ordinary. But then they no longer remain ordinary. They become the pure, noble speech, meaning Dharma actually, become Dharma, speech of the Dharma. Here, probably we say sounds become mantra. Please don't think it as literally a mantra like Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. It doesn't mean that way. It just means now When I'm ordinary person, my talk, my speech is nature of an idle talk, simply because it is generated from an idle mind or ignorant mind. And now when my mind is supported by wisdom, then everything that I speak is nature of truth. So that speech, in the Yidam we say mantra because you are chanting mantra, but in reality it means every single word you say is in accordance with the truth of the reality, the nature of the phenomena. That is what it meant by speech actually here. And the mind, right? The mind. My mind is ordinary mind with all the emotions, clinging, karma, and klesha. That is my ordinary mind. But in the Guru Yoga practice, then my mind instantly becomes, unborn awareness. At least that is the way we see it, because the mind of the Guru is unborn awareness. Rigpa, we call it, right? Rigpa. So in this moment, you can see how the transformation is happening. And all of these can be seen in the form of Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya, as we can see it, right? Each of them represent Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Dharmakaya. Order-wise, we say that. And in the end, when we sit in this Dzogrim part, so to speak, that actually is Dharmakaya or Sabhavikakaya. They're the same, Samakaya, that is Sabhavikakaya. We remain in the, in the unborn awareness nature of the mind. This is the practice he's actually saying here, and there are these other, ways how it is explained. Oops. When we talk about the true nature of the mind, from the Mahamudra point of view, if I remember it correctly, you have to double check that. There are these characteristics to this Mahamudra, okay? The Mahamudra state of the mind. Tongpa, which means emptiness, first characteristic. Salva, luminosity, second characteristic. And Gakpa Mepa. Gakpa Mepa is unceasing. These three are inseparable qualities of the unborn nature of the mind. So the first one, which is emptiness, Tongpa, represents Dharmakaya. Salva, which is luminosity, nature of the mind, represents Sambhogakaya. The unceasing represents Nirmanakaya. Okay? And if you ask where is Sabhavika Kaya, if we thought about fourth Kaya, Sabhavika Kaya is really the essence of that, meaning is synonymous with Dharmakaya. So we don't want to separate that. Probably we can add one more, characteristics to that. Then we can add, the unborn characteristics, Kewa Mepa, we say Kewa Mepa, unborn. If we want, we can add that, but there's no need to add too many things actually, so we can just Sabhavika Kaya. So that here is what, it meant by okay, it means it's a way of training in pure view, right? In a way of training pure view. Let's say somebody who is a yogi, or who is very advanced, there is no doubt in their meditation, they experience the nature of the mind. There is no doubt in that. They are able to remain in this unborn nature of the mind. But when they, come out of that meditation, during the post-meditation time, then this is what they, apply. So during the post-meditation, due to that experience in meditation, they are actually able to see, all these things that we just spoke in those forms, so to speak. Meaning, they are always in this, sphere of Dhammakaya, I would like to think. They are always in this space, sphere, of this Dhammakaya state of the mind. When they are in this state, sphere, or in this atmosphere, in the space of the Dharmakaya, that means they are, always experiencing these qualities of the Dharmakaya mind, correct? So whatever they see, it basically means there is nothing that they see is impure, actually. When they see us, they see us also very impure, actually, so it's not pure. So this is what probably it meant by pure, like pure realm we talk about, pure realm. Because of my deluded mind, even I see pure beings impure. Like if Buddha came to me, I will see him impure. Not because, that object is impure, but my mind is impure. Anything that you place on this impure mind, it will manifest as impure. Let's say you have this surface, and this surface of a glass which is all blue. Anything that you place on that will appear blue because of the surface. Likewise, even if Dharmakaya appeared to my mind, unfortunately, since my mind is so deluded, so impure, then I see Dharmakaya also impure. Not that things are impure. Because I'm not seeing things, in their own true nature, so to say. So this is like, for instance, when we receive empowerment, and especially in the empowerment in things like this, of the yidams, we are in the mandala of the yidam, correct? In the mandala of the yidam. And we are supposed to experience the whole mandala, the atmosphere, the environment of that pure realm of that particular yidam, so to speak. But we don't. Not that it's not there, we don't. As an ordinary being, we don't, but as someone who is very advanced, they do actually. Like again, it's very vague in my mind, when very advanced, yogis meet advanced yogis, then yes, they really see each other in the form of those, let's say, yidams. Like when, for example, Metipa and Narupa, when they used to give empowerment to each other, like Chakrasambhara, I think they see this, the realm of Chakrasambhara. They see the Guru in the form of Chakrasambhara. And likewise, these things. So anyhow, it's not something that we can force, but we have to train in this way, actually, so to speak. One way of seeing this is, from the ultimate point of view, meaning in the ultimate, everything actually is pure in the sense of, not from the point of view of pure and impure, actually, okay? This we have to, because we go beyond, this mind has gone beyond this concept of pure and impure. Pure and impure are two extremes, as we understand. When one's mind go beyond this grasping of something being pure, something being impure. The thing is not pure or impure, but our own grasping makes it appear that way. So when I lose that grasping, then when I see that thing, then I have no, concept of it being pure or impure. You see it as it is in its true nature. In that nature, it is true. There is because our mind, our this confused mind, really is the one that is, creating all these concepts in us of pure, impure, this and that, and this and that. So this is really what it meant actually. Meaning, like it says in many of the books that everything that we experience is created by our own confused mind, So in this way, then all the suffering, pain, challenges, they are all really a manifestation of confused mind, not a reality. So therefore, we could say the 6 cyclic existences, If we thought of these 3 lower realms, these three lower realms are manifestation of their own karma, and this is true. But that karma is a state of a mind, and this state of the mind, is a state of a mind of a confusion. But as long as they are stuck in that confused state, they go through that, that experience. So it's all doing of our confused mind. The samsara, the whole experience samsara is doing of our confused mind, like it says in this one. So we need to understand that it is the doing of our mind. And when we say our mind, it is our confused mind. So we have to come out of that, actually. In reality, we have to come out of that. And yes, in this line, the emptiness is the unsurpassed protection. Again, it's same. Yes, once when one realizes emptiness, then one go beyond, beyond fear, actually. Absolutely beyond fear, beyond pain, beyond suffering, right? Like the great yogis, their mind is beyond any fear. They have no fear of samsara, right? At all. And they have no fear of pain or they don't have these two state of the mind of hoping for happiness and, fear for pain. We have that. They're beyond this, actually. Because this hope for happiness, fear for pain is, produced, is created by our confused mind. And this we can, usually in Tibetan, the word is hope and doubt. We hope and there's a doubt. These are all doing of the confused state of the mind. But this wisdom, this wisdom of the truth, this wisdom of the truth really help one to go beyond that, beyond this, hope and fear. And why? Because one is really beyond actually this, suffering of any kind, beyond emotions, beyond karma, beyond confusion. You see things as it is, in its very true form, in its reality. And that truth is called pure, not like pure impure, actually, so to say. So it's not, when we, let's see, read the life story of this great advanced practitioner, then we can see, what it meant. They really are beyond, they have no fear actually. Again, it's not like fear in terms of bravery here in our world. It's very different. Fear doesn't mean like you are rough and tough, you talk rough, you act tough and you fight, not those things. That's actually not the definition of, anyway, the fearless, not from. Fearless, we become fearless when there is no confusion in your mind. Why would you fear when you have no doubt, when you have no confusion? You fear only when you have confusion, actually. Well, at least that's what I think. Like we don't know what is coming, tomorrow. So you feel, let's say future. So you fear the future because you don't know, you don't see it. But if you see it, there is no reason for you to fear. Like that, actually. So yes, but also this word where it says that emptiness is unsurpassed protection, not in the form of a protection from that it protects you, but actually it means wisdom again. Please understand it as the wisdom. He's saying that wisdom will always protect you, and confusion will always harm you. This is opposite. This too really is like this. Ignorance, all the harm, like it was said before, comes due to the ignorance. Ignorance will never help us in any situation at all. It's source of confusion, source of all the fear, all the pain. Therefore we blame it. You drive all your blame on to one thing and one thing only, that is the confusion, or ignorance, or self-clinging, like I said before. And now here, this wisdom, however small it is, they are usually very powerful. A glimpse of wisdom can really, really, bring you an immense benefit. Just a small glimpse of wisdom. That is why we emphasize so much on how do we accumulate wisdom. We accumulate wisdom by learning, right? We learn. That means first we hear, learn. That is called borrowing. It's like wisdom that you borrow. It's a borrowed wisdom. It's not your own wisdom. It's the wisdom of the teacher or wisdom that is in the book. But then afterwards you start thinking about it. You start reflecting on this. Then it becomes your own wisdom, actually. The wisdom that we, improve, that we bring about, that we mature by reflecting, becomes your own understanding, your own experience. This is very, very important. And then the meditation part. When we meditate more and more on that wisdom, then that becomes fine and fine and fine and fine. That wisdom becomes very, very fine, meaning very sharp, actually. So sharp that it can cut through any kind of confusion or ignorance. So that's why it cut through all this confusion of self and clinging of self, clinging of others, all that things. And that's how it brings about the awakening state of the mind, right? Meaning Buddhahood. Buddhahood is all about overcoming this confusion, nothing more, nothing less. That's it. It's not a magical state. Okay? It's not like when you become Buddha that you have all the magical things, that you can do all the magics. It's not about that. So, but the point here is really the importance of this wisdom and how this wisdom then generate, all these other qualities of kindness, compassion, bodhicitta. It's generated, is born from there, so to say. So they sort of blend, as you can see, they blend, very beautifully together. Mm-hmm. Okay, I will move on now. The third is the extraordinary instruction to convert the adversities into the path of the awakening. Okay, so this is the first two methods of converting or turning the adversities into path with the help of relative and ultimate bodhicitta. And now this is through actually action. There are few activities, actually four here. There's four kinds of activities that we engage in. And when we engage in these four activities, they will help us also to overcome the adversities, the obstacles, mainly all of the obstacles, on the path to enlightenment or in Dharma, actually. Adversity here are the obstacles, right? Obstacles. Mastering the four practices is the supreme method. Whatever you encounter in the present, use it in your meditation. Okay. Oops. Yes. It's a very... So what are the four methods with which we overcome obstacles regarding our Dharma practice? The first one is, accumulation of merit. We can use the means of, let's say, one of the best foundation for accumulating merit is the seven limbs, 7 branches of prayer, I think. We call Yenla Dumpa. 7 branches of prayer is the one that we find in Samantha Batra's prayer, right? 7 branches of prayer. Otherwise, then of course the mandala. In short, is the practice of the mandala practice, and also like the 6 paramitas, especially the paramita of generosity, paramita of discipline, and the paramita of the patience. They are really the source of merit, actually, source of merit. So these are, let's say, ground for practicing, accumulating the merit. And the power of this merit, overpowers the obstacles. This is what it meant. Okay, what it meant is sometimes due to lack of merit, or because my merit to experience certain quality realization is very weak, okay? And due to that, it's taking a very long time for me to experience this realization or to experience that understanding. It could be both. One, it could be that I don't have merit yet to understand that level of Dharma, to realize that Dharma at all. Then, of course, first thing I need to do is that I need to, accumulate that merit. Now, if my accumulation, I may have merit, but my merit is very weak, then I need to strengthen them by cultivating bodhicitta. In this case, taking of refuge and cultivating of the bodhicitta is the most effective. Every time when we cultivate bodhicitta, take refuge from our heart, all this very weak karma that we have, many of our karmas are very weak actually, okay? And therefore they are easily destroyed. So we want to keep our karma, let's say merit, virtues, geva, very, very strong. Every time when we take refuge, generate bodhicitta, and the more and more we generate bodhicitta, they really, really become very strong, this merit in us. There are merit for different kind. Right now we are talking about the merit for realization, for Dharma, for Dharma realization, for Dharma understanding, for meditation experience, that. So this is the very first step. All of the four foundations, here I mean the, uncommon four foundations, the refuge, which we do with the prostration. Prostration is also very powerful. And then of course the Vajrasattva, Mandala, Guru Yoga, all of them. The second is actually purification. Now the purification of the negative emotions, negative karma. Again, like I said in the very first day, that the most powerful antidote really is none other than taking of the refuge in the Buddha, in the Dharma, in the Sangha, and bodhicitta. They have the most power to really overcome, the obstacles, overcome this obscuration that's obscuring our wisdom, this bodhicitta and refuge. So that is something we must do. But on top of that, then we can also include many other, method of purification, like, Vajrasattva, 35 Buddha, anything, all of them. And this, again, all of the four foundations, they also help us to overcome negative karma too. Like, for example, the prostration, 100% is very effective for overcoming of negative karmas, as well as the Vajrasattva, Mandala, Guru Yoga. All of them, actually. So these are something that you have heard many times, not difficult. Now, the second two, for example, the third method here is making offerings to the we call demons actually, Njungpo, demon, evil spirit. Probably I need to explain this a little bit. There are these beings that are spirit. We call them spirit because they don't have a physical form. Okay, so therefore I'm saying spirit from that point of view. But they have some kind of power in them from the negative point of view, some kind of power because of the negative power that they can harm those people who lack merit. So then they can really harm you. So this is the definition of the demon or devil or whatever, other terms you may have in English. We call Njungpo in Tibetan. Also it means, has the sense of ghost, actually, like ghost. Hungry, not only hungry ghost, but ghost also. So I don't exactly know how it is understood in the English language, But anyways, traditionally, as we understand that we make offerings to them. You see that when you do during the lunchtime, you make this, you have this pot that you keep separate. Actually, we're giving these to those Njungpos to help them. Here, generally we do that, and we ask them to help us, right? To help us. Here, yes, we are asking them to help us, to protect us, but to protect us, only to practice whatever is the best for me to practice Dharma. Meaning, if it is best for me to get sick, then we are saying, please make me sick. Usually we say, please don't do that, because this is the opposite of this, okay? But if whatever becomes the best condition for my Dharma practice, then we ask them to do that for us, the favorable conditions. If I need to become sick, or if I need to suffer, then yes, saying please, create that situation so that, I can perfect my practice. So this is a little bit different. Otherwise, it's same. The third one. The fourth one is, again, very much similar, but here the objects are the Dharma palas, you call Chukyong. Remember, in the sixth root, we have first three root are Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Those are from the Sutrayana point of view. And then the remaining three root of what? Refuge, right? Are the Lama, Yedam, and Dharmapala. So this is again from the Vajrayana point of view, I think. So this Dharmapala, again same thing, we make these offerings to the Dharmapala to protect us on the path to enlightenment. Basically we are saying that if I need an obstacle, then please send obstacle, towards me. And of course, and then if I need to overcome an obstacle, then please help me to overcome the obstacle. So here, this is only the difference. Otherwise, then it's the same notion of making this, the practice is same of the, like Mahakala practice and all that, actually. It's very similar to this. Not similar in the sense, in the Mahakala, we don't say that. We don't say send, the obstacles to us. It's basically, we always say remove the obstacles. But here, since this is from the point of view of, changing the obstacles into the path, correct? This is what we're saying. So this is why we're asking them to, anything that becomes, becomes ground for my practice, basically, then we need to go through that. Good situation, bad situation, happiness or suffering. Whatever is needed, then we must, go through that in order to accomplish the path. This is the idea here, right? In this situation when you say turning everything into the path. Sometimes it's really true, an obstacle removes an obstacle also. It is true from that point of view. A smaller obstacle sometimes removes a much bigger obstacle in the future. So this is hard to tell, actually, like I was saying yesterday. And this can happen with this kind of practice. Since we are talking about this, about the demons or Dharmapalas, it could be that we experience this obstacle. We may see that an obstacle, but actually that obstacle was something that was helping me, or that was helping me to overcome much, much bigger obstacle, so to speak. That is always a case in many a times, actually, so to speak. And probably that is what we want to think. That may be the case. Like I was saying before, So let's check. So these are the 4 kinds of activity that we generally engage in. The first 2 go hand in hand, meaning first 2 are always together. Accumulation of merit and overcoming of the negative karma go hand in hand, so to speak. Okay. And okay, we'll move. I will read a little more. Oh, no, actually, let's check. I did read the last one. Yes, the last one here was, whatever you encounter in the present, use it in your meditation. So that is the last line for this, correct? All right, good. In short, he's saying that we need, as a practitioner, we need to be very wise to use every life situation for our Dharma practice. This is what it meant, actually. This very long sentence means that. And I think it's as when we observe this really, good practitioners, just good practice, you see that. Like I have seen many, actually. Most of them are actually lay people. Because I grew up in a Tibetan village, so I knew that. When they fail in something, most of the time they blame their karma, actually. They're like, oh, it is something to happen, so it happened. There's nothing I can do about it. It's actually being very honest and being very truthful. So you face the situation directly by understanding the truth about the situation. At the same time, it actually, as a practitioner, we are to use all of our Dharma understanding in our lives, in our life situations, correct? Otherwise, what is the use of listening and listening to Dharma, understanding Dharma, if we don't use them in our life? First of all, we need to understand these teachings, meaning these wisdoms, is something that we must remember. We must try to, we must try to experience them or implement them whenever, however you can in all the life situations. It's not that you have to wait, for something. So therefore we should never wait, to implement anything. Meaning, sometimes people think that, I'm going to go into retreat. In that retreat, I'm going to practice. What does that even mean, actually? So you do retreat like what? How many times in a year? Maybe not one time. And the rest of the time you're not going to practice? It doesn't make sense, actually, no? No, really, I'm saying that. Then, so here, this is what the waiting point. Many of people think that, no, right now I have these other things to do. So therefore, I'm first going to finish this. Then I'm going to move on to this when I'm going to practice. No, it doesn't work this way. You may die by the time, actually. You may not finish it at all. What I'm saying is that Dharma, teachings, memories in your heart, correct? You carry it with you everywhere you go. It's in your mind. It's with you. So then, what are we exactly waiting for? But it is true that we cannot remember everything. We cannot practice everything. Whatever little bit you remember, whatever comes to your mind in that time, in that situation, you try to use that. Let's say you try to benefit from that. This is what it meant in that situation. Then we also benefit directly, right? Dharma is like a medicine that you need to, really take all the time. Whenever you need it. This is the advice he's saying that, that there is no such thing as, that there is no such thing as time for Dharma, no? From this point of view. That actually is a little bit strange, time for Dharma, I'm saying from otherwise, as a meaning practice point of view. Practice point of view, now you come here, of course you have heard many, many teachings, so you are very rich with all these, advices, knowledge. Now it's about time that you used it, correct? If you don't use it, then you're not benefiting. We are not benefiting from it. Every time we go to a teaching is to remind us and to, make that Dharma memory, that Dharma knowledge more deep, more profound, so that they don't fade away so very easily. It is very important that they don't fade away very easily. Usually, if you don't practice them, if you don't remember them, then they of course fade. Like all other memories, with time, they also fade, and they disappear. I don't think they disappear altogether, but yes, they do disappear. That's unfortunate, actually. So here, the idea is this Dharma habitual tendencies, we call pakcha, in Tibetan pakcha, the Dharma memories. That's why I'm saying Dharma memories of the Dharma teachings, your Dharma practice, all this memory that you have. We want to, really protect that. We want to cherish that. That is what we are trying to improve. So how do you improve that is by really from time to time, reflecting on that, from time to time remembering them. Then we don't, we protect them from fading away fast. At least they, stay longer. And we need them to stay longer, actually, so to speak. That's what it meant. In all life situations, remember Dharma. This is what it meant, actually. The last part. Okay, I think so this was, what number are we on? Third, I think. I think third, yes? Yes, third. So we went through the third point, so I'm going to stop here. I'll take a few questions if you like.
Thank you. I have a question. Sorry, I will find a question about compassion. You said that if we see someone who suffering, who have suffering, we have to help somehow. But what should we do with those who deceive us? There are so many beggars that this is their job to deceive us.
Yeah,
What should we do with them? Thank you.
Okay. No, I'm good. Yeah, thank you. So there are two things from what I understand. When they deceive us, it is their karma. It will go to them, not to us, no? Bad karma. But when you help them, it will come to you. Whether or not they deceive you or not, we will have the result of that good karma, actually, from karma point of view. Agree? So it's not actually wrong to help, so to speak. It's not that we are encouraging them to deceive. They do anyways. Whether I give them or not, they will always, lie to the next person or to the next person. I'm just thinking from karma point of view, really, because that is the way to explain that. From the merit point of view, from karma point of view, when I give something out of the goodness of my heart, then I will have the karma. It's not that I'm expecting something in return, I know that. But at least there is a good karma. I did my part as a human being. I did my part as, as a good person, so to speak. So there are two things to keep in mind, right? So, yes.
Khenpo, thank you for your teachings. I'm thinking about emptiness. You told us about emptiness today, and I'm wondering how one can experience emptiness in everyday life, not in Buddhist practice, not in the shrine or in the gompa, but in everyday life.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Right. So this view of emptiness is not so easy, really, because it comes with a very deep and profound wisdom. So, but there is something that we can do that looks like emptiness, actually. For example, for example, when we see everything as meaning of attachment to phenomena to some extent. So there is a benefit because the purpose of emptiness, this wisdom, emptiness is a wisdom, is, to let go of the attachment, the clinging to the phenomena, to the universe, to oneself, to other. So it's all about overcoming of clinging, attachment, letting go of that. So that happens, even with the realization or very profound understanding of impermanence too. So I guess we can use those wisdoms, and these wisdoms will slowly and gradually lead you to the emptiness, actually. Please.
Khenpo Ngadudile. And good morning to all my Dharma friends. First of all, I'm very lucky, and I feel myself very, lucky to be part of this morning. Maybe my question may be little bit out of this context, but it is related to Dhamma and Pardo. My question. Thank you very much.
Okay, sure. There is no doubt that anyone can achieve liberation or enlightenment simply because every sentient being has Buddha nature mind in us. Like Buddha says in his book that every sentient being is endowed with Tathagata Garbha, which means the Buddha nature mind. So every living being, given that they put an effort, they 100% can achieve enlightenment, with their diligence in Dharma. There is no doubt that we can do that actually, so anyone. And as for the path to enlightenment is concerned, it is really the Buddha Dharma itself. In Tibet, we have these schools like Kagyu, Satya, Nyingma, but they are actually simply a name of the places, of these things. So, yes, whether you follow Dzogchen or whether you follow Mahamudra or whether you follow Sutrayana, Tantrayana, at the end of the day, they all blend. It sounds like they are different, like Sutra, Tantra, and this other teaching like Dzogchen and Mahamudra. From the name, it sounds like they are different, but in essence, they are not actually. From the realization point of view, from the reality point of view, they all point to the same thing. They all point to the nature of the mind. In Dzogchen, yes, there are little bit different method, but they really are, there's only one thing to point, and that is to the nature of the mind. And also in Mahamudra, of course, there is only one thing to point out, and that is also the nature of the mind. And I think we need this variety of various method, because our mindset, our disposition of the Buddha nature mind are different. So therefore, in order to help this particular seed of the Buddha nature mind, then we have this very particular method for that very particular individual. So it's all method. These teachings are all method, different methods. But their result, their outcome, their aim, the goal is exactly the same. It's actually enlightenment. But the goals, the path, this different path are really needed actually. So yes, all of the, let's say, great Mahasiddhas, yogis that are here in this world now and in the past are all people like us, correct? Even Buddha himself, is like us, when an ordinary person. So therefore, there really is no, question that given you meet with the right kind of path, teachings, let's say lineage, then one can very much, achieve those stages. Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it's really a question. Maybe it's just I want to share a dream I had in the night to yesterday, and I think it stands for the whole situation I feel in. I think most of us feel in. I was, in a situation which was very struggling,
Mm-hmm.
and then I wanted to have a pause. And then I was hiding in a box out of glass. This box was a milky glass, and there I felt somehow protected, but there was something, somebody, I don't know, some force from outside bumping all the time and telling me to come out. And on the one hand, I feel it's like being locked in. So it's a locked in situation where there's something in myself which wants to be protected, and the other part wants to get free. And I just wondered if would it be a very sudden event to, let's say, crash this glass and then suddenly really be free, or would it also go in little steps? I mean, yeah. Is it a very, yeah.
It was a dream, right? It was a dream?
It was a dream, but it somehow I think much about this dream now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I really don't know. I mean, it's probably if you continued with that dream, you will find out what you did with that.
Yes. You can try.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we'll stop now for lunch. So lunch is at 11:30, right? Okay. Sönam dia tamche zigba nye tona nye be dana pamche chega na che bala to ba ye se ban so le ndo wa re sho ge wan di ye ki wo ke sönam ye che so zo sönam ye che le chung wa tamba kwe nye to pare sho Minjaro lombo kuya ta shi sho yen la tuk cho sung ke ta shi Tadala time tuk che ta shi sho gyalwe ku sung tuk che ta shi sho. Okay, thank you everyone. Please enjoy your lunch.